Somehow everybody still is putting Last as like the #1 player in the world, power rank him #1. Even though Flash just won it, let's still put Last higher. But Last has to put in results. And who cares how good he is on Fish if he can't play on the main stage? And I think that's going to be his kryptonite. If Last doesn't win in 2017, and he can't win in the beginning of 2018, where he's going to have plenty of opportunities between now and then I think that we really have to start being concerned with him not being a player that will ever live up to expectations. Kind of like a baby. I think he's really kind of in the baby category, aka TY, if you guys are unfamiliar with his name as Baby. So let's focus on this opening here coming from Mind. As you can see, both players ramping up the APM, but Mind doing so much higher. He's on the Moo Clan. Doc 4 is what he's going by. And thank you again, KCM, if he ever does happen to hear this, for providing these replays and just doing such great service with this tournament. This refinery is up 3 SCVs on it right away. So either we're going to see a fake double, factory expand into 2 fact play. And really it's going to be watching those SCVs. When is that expansion going to come down? Some patience, guys. Some patience before we can start to figure this out. But I do like to see this. So there's no Zealot. There's no Zealot. And, very important. Because I'm trying to eliminate minimap lag, I'm casting on the internet where it can cause real main map lag, but setting the high latency will mitigate that pretty quickly. So that's all said and done. And again, no Zealot built out of here, which means a more economical, stronger opening, and it could lead to a faster Nexus, it could lead to some faster tech, but right now we're just going to see a Goon follow-up. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and do a check here. It looks like it's going to be a fake double, guys, which means that this will be a factory expand. Will Siege Mode come first? We saw quite the odd TVP in Fight Club just last Tuesday. And while Bonnet was playing against No Name, aka SAS Non went for a good amount of Vulture play early on, and building this right away, and then going into Vulture speed followed by Vulture Mines. But against a good Protoss player, it was rendered ineffective. Bonnet showed his outstanding micro, really was able to outperform the early pressure of Vultures and the threat of Spider-Mine. Even without Observer, Bonnet was able to play just stunningly against it. So now he's going to have his biggest challenge, where it's going to be True Touch versus Bonnet next week in a ZVP. I think a lot of advantage is going to go towards True Touch too. Both players are playing very well on Fish. Not quite the rankings, though, of course, that Mind and Shuttle are able to have. These guys are just absolute top tier. Despite the fact that Mind's getting lower results, you can still consider them both top 10 to top 15 in the world. So that SCV, as if you heard the explosion, did get killed off. So that's the end of that. And then Nexus is coming down too. We can see that the command center, Neo Jade is one of those odd maps, of course, with the ramp that goes upwards towards your natural base. And there's players that like to take advantage of that by doing some cheesy aggressive play. Maybe if you get like the lucky scout, that's when they just kind of turn around and go, okay, let's just add an extra gateway and go super heavy aggressive. But we're going to see still, this is so standard. The gateway after the robotics facility, and actually the second gateway may actually be more on the aggressive end, because we're actually not seeing pro production here yet either. So this, the third gate, is actually going to add quite a few more goons early on, whereas we can usually see just double Dragoon pumping from 2 gates. Instead, this is going to be a higher army count. So what will Mind be able to do against that? He's just going to be on the defensive end. Did we even see that spin? No. Well, Spider-Mine is done. So that's what I'm looking for. So just Spider-Mines are done. Where's that Vulture? Vulture looks slow. So Vulture speed hasn't been completed. That Spider-Mine upgrade is so fast. We got to be able to click over very quickly to identify upgrades. So let's just try and keep an eye on that. Why won't we? And so this third command center is up very early, very, very aggressive. And if Shuttle has figured this out in his head, I believe that Shuttle doesn't actually have that vision. Now, also, I want to remind you guys, I will pause, and we can discuss things if you want to. We can do that. We can look deeper into these replays. This is what this cast is going to give you access to. Did I not Oh my god, I got rid of all the wrong things. So we want to go to shuttle here. I'm just too ranty today. So he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't see that command center. But like I said, because he's building all these extra units early on with that third gateway being here, this is going to be some really strong play coming out of shuttle. I honestly am very concerned with Mind right now, and there's this big possibility that he loses the game in the next 3-4 minutes. Let's keep an eye on that timer. We're at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, so always very important to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, I'm just checking all my stream configurations, everything looking good. Okay, cool. Let's get back to this. So, 8... and what are we looking at? 10 Dragoons on the field. There's not a lot to defend here between this bunker, this slight high ground positional advantage that Mind is trying to hold, and the move back of these tanks that aren't even in siege mode. This is just a super bad experience that Mind is going through right now, not having these siege tanks, having to bring in the SCVs, and this is just like Bonnet and his TVP, where he micros so well with these Dragoons, he just picks off every single tank, works his way away from these SCVs, and there's not a chance in hell that Mind can actually combat this. So more units are going to be coming from the back. Now this is really important. As units just try and funnel out here, Shuttle does keep a few of these units back. He's got the last of his Dragoons over here. It's going to be surrounded by SCVs. So it looks like Shuttle is going to have to back off. But Mind's not out of this game. Surprisingly enough, because he has this third command center, he has 37 SCVs to 39 probes. A really, really important thing that I want you guys to see is that because he went for this third gateway, we're going to have to keep coming back to this, and stopped making probes. His probe count was significantly behind. So his pressure was basically designed to mitigate the advantage that Mind was taking by getting this early third command center. But you can see the SCV count is similar to the probe worker count. Both players are on even bases, and all of that will actually eventually favor Mind because he's matching the Protest player on bases, and most importantly, he actually takes a relatively quick third gas base. And that's a huge thing for Terran. Terran, you know, as much as they do seem to do well on Circuit Breaker, and they do have this trouble where they take the mineral only and they don't get the third gas quick enough, and then they're in a lot of trouble. And that's where you see Protoss players do take some pretty nice wins against Terran because they were able to prevent that third gas. But no, there's easy access to this nicely defended base. And now that the supply depot is up, there's tanks all along this ridge, and I think that Mind is set himself up pretty powerfully. The SCV pull was the most effective thing in this entire defense that Mind had. It was very important for him to pull as many SCVs as he did, surround them, and then he pushed them into a choke point where units were going to funnel up, and he was going to slowly pinch him into this corner. So it was a really nice aggressive move to stomp out that army of Dragoons that were presented by Shuttle. So the Citadel dude is done. I guess there was a little bit of a pause here. The shuttle's out. I don't know if speed is done or if it's about to be researched, but I imagine either way it's going to come. So this has been pretty low gas so far. This is what I was trying to point out. So the Arbiter Tribunal is only just now up and coming, and that's where a lot of the gas is going to be stored up for, is getting those Arbiters out as quickly as possible, because Shuttle is going to be at that slight disadvantage. Those Arbiters not being out in the playing field yet are going to have to take a while to get that energy to be able to combat against the army that's going to have some pretty good upgrades from Mind. Let's see if we can find those armories, because the armories are going to be the most important thing. He's going to probably stop at 7 or 8 factories, and then double armory down here at the south. As you can see, he's got the attack and armor upgrade, and I'm guessing that's 1-1. So yes, we can see, because the Star Par has not finished, the science facility is going to follow up and almost time out perfectly with this armory. And the science facility is going to be more importantly for the +2 upgrades than actually having, science vessels out, especially since the Arbiters are going to be well delayed. You can see up here, the Spider Mines are getting cleared out. This fourth base, a key again. Now, probes can still get picked off pretty quickly with very well targeted micro, so my Shuttle can't get lazy. If Mine does sneak a few vultures out to get aggressive, that fourth base can get attacked pretty well. Okay, so let's see. Let's look over here. This is what I was talking about. This Vulture group. I totally expect this to come from Mind. He's really on point. Sack is another player that's really on point with these Vultures. I think Last also can kind of fill in that role pretty well, but especially what I'm talking about here. Mind is going to come in with these Vultures, and he's going to ignore the cannons. He's going to ignore the cannons and just try and get as many workers as possible. He's cutting the count down to under 60, which off 4 bases, you want to try and keep your count above 60 as much as possible, especially for when you're going to incur worker losses. Now, if he can take, now look at it, 63 SCVs actually for Mind, so Mind's in a pretty sweet spot, down to 56. If you get Protoss down to 50 workers, they're not running optimally off those 4 bases. So that was some pretty nice moves, almost weakening down that economy. And there's going to be some heavy emphasis on each Nexus to actually continue to build workers, except for this one. This one becomes a dud after a while. Some people forget that that Nexus even exists until they suddenly need it to make workers due to very hostile situations from the Terran player. This tank count is getting absurd. It's up to 12. It's up to 12, but it's going to blow up very quickly. Remember, I was talking about that third gas. He has a double machine shops, and this is a pretty nice map. And as you can see, that even though he's at 8, you can get 10 factories inside this main base. It's a rather large main, which establishes a great position for Terran in the mid-game to just kind of hold down the left side. Oh, I see a lot of action here as these Vultures are just trying to shimmy by as much they can and maybe catch these Dragoons off guard. 22 Dragoons, almost hitting that key 25 Dragoon count that I am always looking for from a Protoss player, despite any configuration of units. Now this gateway count is doing all right. I think we're sitting at 10 gateways. We can see how many Arbiters already won that's out on the playing field too. And we probably need to start looking, let's scour the mini-map here to see where that Arbiter is going to show up. Because I imagine, while there's a couple turrets here, there's a little bit of weakness. Maybe right here, there's some weakness to a recall play. But there's no weakness here. I mean, this is really good from the north. And I don't think that recall will be rather effective. So unless Shuttle expands so much that he just has like a plethora of Arbiters to start doing crazy recalls with, I really think that he needs to focus on stay side and freezing the army open engagements in the middle of the map. That's really going to be the best spot for Protoss. Now you see that he's gathering his army, he's got speed, and with this shuttle here, what has he got? High Templar in here? So these High Templar can pay off very well with some pretty heavy duty storms. And look at this Spider Mine just cluster to defend at this location, and then this cluster over here. You're guaranteed to lose any of your Zealots that do engage. And it's going to be very, very hard as long as Mind has some Vultures to buffer. Whatever Zealots do make it through will have to run into the Vultures first, and the tanks will get a lot of kills. So you almost want a multi-pronged attack. Since this, even though you have the high ground advantage, is a tough area to engage in, you can try and potentially engage from the top. If you can get a good stasis in the middle of the army, that's going to be most important. 2-2 must be about to finish. And we're seeing that almost near maxing too. Let's see. Yep. Okay, 2-2 about to finish. This is why Mind's army suddenly looks like a Zerg swarm. Everything's looking very live and sprightly as he readies his army to engage. And Shuttle, he knows that he's feeling pressure towards the top left. And look at the minimap. There's an army that's pushing up towards him, but we want to focus on how well these Zealots do against these Spider Mines. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Okay, we can switch over real quick. So these tanks are here. They've got a good position. This Nexus, I'm guessing the Nexus will go down, and Shuttle's not going to care because he's reestablished and rehomed himself up towards the top right. So he's got a really good new main base at the top right for the late game, which is what he's going to be preparing himself for if these engagements don't go well. Behind this, though, we've got two Arbiters that should have stasis available for them. And it's going to go down in the next minute for sure. I think this is the patience waiting game. There was a Forge over here. I'm curious. Okay, so the Forge +2 is about to finish, which is another key upgrade that Protoss you really want to wait for. And which Shuttle is going to be patient as he waits for this. Is he going to get the stasis off? Okay, he puts the stasis on this science vessel. how important was that sacrifice really? Not that important. Let me be clear. Because there are going to be all these comsat stations. There's a comsat station here, there's a comsat station here, and you can bet your ass there's one inside the main base. Which means that I really hate that sacrifice. That was a 200 energy Arbiter. And now Shuttle, you know, he's got a micro a little bit better in here. He's actually allowed a mine to take the high ground. You can see that he's already got a tank here, but a ton of vultures. 25 in total vultures really to get up on top of this high ground. You can see that the Nexus is coming up here. This did get cleaned up, or the tanks just moved away. And they just, you know, these are pack and play tanks. You just get them away right as you can. So this one Goliath tried to be the hero preventing this base. Meanwhile, we've got it. Okay, here comes the big engagement. And is he going to drop these units? Yes, the Storm. No, the Storm. The Storm does not go down. He drops the High Templar, and the High Templar do not get anything off. Oh, he's getting the tanks in the middle. But remember, he's like 2 or 3 storms short in this entire engagement. He doesn't get the back tanks. The front tanks do a lot of damage before the stay side go down. And Shuttle really, really engaged that poorly. Mine is coming out with a huge advantage. 23 tanks in total. You know, most of the vultures were killed off. There are 3 science vessels with EMP too that are going to start chasing down this army. One good EMP could really weaken a ton of these dragoons. As you can see, some of these dragoons have even taken actual physical damage. And so if they lose their shields, they will die instantly. It's kind of like they've been plagued and they're only with their shields remaining. So low health here. Meanwhile, they're trying to push over to the right. So Shuttle, he's going to take his whole army, push himself over here. And if he gets caught even by just a couple tanks, Mine can just ship his entire army up towards the top left and start trying to do 2-pronged attacks. Outflank the main army of Shuttle while trying to kill off the economy of him in the north. I love the fact that you are seeing these turrets come from the left side too. The turrets slowly encroaching across the map are going to be really important to deal with these arbiters, to try and kill them off, especially if you don't have a science vessel in the right location. This science vessel is super low in health. They can benefit from an SCV coming out here. So the tanks are up here at the top. This whole army is trying to respawn. This Nexus is getting really low, but it does get killed off. The Zealots come in just in time. They mow it down. And I think that while there is this still strong army advantage for Terran, Mine can still win this game pretty easily, I would say. But Shuttle, because he has this whole right side corner, he has all these gateways that he can re-macro from. I think that he's still in a pretty strong position to take Terran on in this game. I'm so used to watching Bonnet PvT now at this point and thinking, why didn't he just go carriers? Because Bonnet makes carriers look good on every single map. I honestly don't think carriers are a disadvantage ever anymore, just because of how good Bonnet plays PvP. But let's focus on Shuttle PvP. This spread of offense here from Mine is really making it hard for Shuttle to determine where he should engage. He's attacking in from the top right, but there's no units trying to cut down this middle from the left. And remember, he's re-macroing half his army from the right side and the other half from the left side. Does he have any weak spots? A couple Zealots running through the front here. And yeah, he really needs to actually take a small group of Dragoons and start clearing out these mines very quickly and just kind of block off the reinforcements. If he can cover the middle, he's either going to force these tanks back, or the tanks are just going to commit forward and try to engage where there's a pretty good defensive position set up for Shuttle already. I think that this Nexus is guaranteed to go down at this point, but you can see a considerable army coming in from the right side. Well, just nice SCVs and getting picked off continually. That worker count is still at 60. Now, mind, he has to win, I believe, here or expand a little bit more because he hasn't been expanding. He has this command center that hasn't done well. This Nexus has gone down officially for Shuttle, just so we don't miss the opportunity to storm defense, but only on top of one tank, so not much remaining. Mind is just causing a slow death animation for Shuttle, as Shuttle is losing his grip on this game. Despite having the expansion advantage, he has no army to deal with this. I would expect maybe a GG very shortly if he loses this army. But he's going to try. He's going to come in here and embrace his Zhongbi rhythm. He gets a good stasis here, which is going to cause a lot of detection issues. So those comsat stations comsat scans go down right away. These tanks are going to get cleared up. And now we are seeing Shuttle is finally showing the monster PvP he usually has and retaken his side of the map with no economical damage, but losing this Nexus and having 64 probes in this game, especially having this left base very well mined. We can see that Shuttle's still in a great spot. He can make so many Zealots. 5,000 minerals right now. He can make 50 Zealots. This is absolutely insane, the mineral count. Meanwhile, Mind is struggling to have any sort of economy. Look at this Congo line. Look at all these SCVs. He's already over-mining from this base. And actually, because he didn't micro these SCVs on the mineral line, it is probably going to take the next minute and a half before he starts mining optimally at this base. But who has time to worry about such issues? First world problems, am I right? Okay, so Vultures and Goliaths is not the mix that you want to have, especially when there's storms available. So with the amulet has been upgraded. The energy upgrade is here. The High Templar can engage in this and kill off these chunks in just an instant. Meanwhile, okay, I missed a recall. I do apologize. Sometimes it's hard for me to see the brown at the bottom. But there was a bit of a recall here. It forced the base off. But the command center does live. How many SCVs are alive? Did he get them? Yeah, it looks like he got actually the majority of those SCVs. So 20 SCVs killed off. That was a significant moment in the game. A little laggy, homie. Okay. Well, we will take this from the online and we will go offline so we can mitigate that lag. You will just have to deal with a little bit of minimap lag. I try and please everybody, but I would rather please the people who are watching the main portion of the game and not just the minimap. Okay, remember all these zealots that I was talking about? He can make 60 zealots now. This economy is just really well out of control. Having a ton of zealots is just super nice. And the Zealots, these Vultures, even with speed, can't out-micro them forever, can they? I mean, how good is Mind's micro against this? He's coming in here with 16 siege tanks, and all of them are getting stormed. You can see that they are very weak. I think that the rest of these core tanks are just going to go down. Once again, a fight on this ridge, Mind making it very difficult for Shuttle to hold on. But he's got 3 High Templars, so fear not. And these Dragoons are going to engage. If he gets 2 more storms off, I think that Mind's army will just absolutely crumble. So he's actually trying to split his tanks up as much as possible. The left side getting hit, weakening it. Another storm at the top needed to happen. This guy was not ready for battle. Despite the fact that he's gotten 190 energy, he was not ready to engage. No, of course not. Oh, and then he does a major whip with the storm. I'm just assuming all High Templars are he's. Okay, let's not worry about those gender roles. Meanwhile, this happened again. That's just awesome. Mind loses his base. He has no more economy. He's got to win with 3-3 upgrades, which, surprisingly, isn't that hard depending on who you are. We've seen 3-3 upgrades just completely roll over the Protoss player. Oh, these storms once more, just clearing everything up. Once you get the energy upgrade for your High Templar, you're in a pretty sweet spot with them because they just gather so much. You can get many storms out of 3 storms out of the High Templar at that point, which is pretty sweet. These Zealots are just evaporating. Oh my god! But this whole army is going to come up from the bottom left. I mean, we're just focusing on this, so it looks like Shuttle might be losing. But there's this huge army, 17 Dragoons that are going to come back from the left side. You can see that, again, look at the mineral and gas count. If Mind can't hold on here, he's completely mined out in this game. And he wants to hold on. I mean, in Race Wars, you're representing the entire Terran race. There's 3 of you, and if you lose... Wow, look at all these Arbiters come in. Massive stasis. This has got to be GG. Here we go. Mind calls it. All right. Oh, we got a long one for the start, didn't we? I was not prepared for that. I was thinking we were going to get through these in less than 2 hours, but at this rate, no. All right, let's go ahead and give the win the shuttle. What a game. I thought mine had it. I thought mine could close it out, but the economy was too strong. All right, let's give that one to mind. We're going to go into land. We're going to go our offline mode, as you can see. Goodbye minimap. You will lag. It's okay. We're going to do it this way. Despite how long that was, let's go ahead and go into game number 2. Welcome, viewers, by the way, if you're coming from Twitch or Africa TV, and you could be watching this on africa.tv/ASL2ENG2, where also Saturday and Sunday morning I will be casting the Africa team battles. The finals will be played on Sunday, and the semifinal, I guess the round of 4 winners match or winners losers match, whatever the hell you want to call that final one, will be played Saturday. So Team Bisu or Team Gwenshi will be determined on Saturday to play against Team Flash. If the Team Bisu versus Team Flash matchup happens again, I mean there's gonna be a lot of hype around whether Bisu and Flash will actually play against each other. Bisu did not play well against Last. All right, let's go here. Let's buckle down. It's gonna be Shuttle versus Hero. So it seemed like every Zerg got one kill, at least last week. I feel like there's major contributions from the Zerg race. Really well played from each player. And a lot of good upsets. So week 1 was pretty fun. But guys, we're in KLM, Race Wars, week 2. Oh man, all the name changes have been tough to follow. And if you're following me, your host BC Dagger, and you feel like you do want to donate, there is a donate button at the bottom of the Twitch screen, or you could donate stars on Africa TV. That's always fun too, donating stars, right? And all money, of course, goes to Foreign Brood War. So I try to funnel it back into the scene, just like Fight Club, as you heard me talking about in the previous cast. Whew! We're gonna need a major water break after game number 2. But down at the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to have Shuttle. And down at the bottom right-hand corner, we will have our Zerg player Hero. Both Neox clan players. I actually still haven't watched Neox versus Moo. And if you don't know, Neox stands for Never Ending Oral Sex. And Moo just stands for Moo. It's exactly what you would expect. It's Moo. An utterly ridiculous name. Utterly. Okay, so this Overlord going in the right direction already. Anybody unfamiliar with La Mancha? Bam. Figure it out. That's your map. This is what we're playing on. It's a normal downhill ramp to the natural base. You know, a not too hard to forge map either, which is what we're going to see. I believe that this is a Forge Expand map. But leave it to Shuttle to prove me wrong. If we were watching movie, I would guarantee Gateway. But I do think that Forge first is the way to go. Okay, so you guys have gotten your looks in. That's all we needed. And especially with this probe not detecting where Zerg is, we're going to see Forge and then Cannon before the Nexus goes down. Unless we can see Shuttle get a probe there in time to actually figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, there's no spawning pool. No spawning pool here. There's a 12 next opening, which is, of course, what happened. And hopefully you guys aren't seeing any visual lag at this point because we are not playing online anymore, so we don't have to set for high latency. You see the options here? Speed, sound, video. Okay, so the confirmation here of the timing of this 12 hatchery is going to allow him to go for Nexus if he wants to. And I'm really glad that that Shuttle decided to go and scout real quickly and say, okay, I actually do have the opportunity to go Nexus first. And then he'll drop down a cannon as soon as he gets his next 150 minerals. But what are we seeing here? The probe should have gotten the obvious information and been looking for now where there's a third base, because there's no spawning pool. There's no spawning pool here. I think Shuttle is a little confused on what's going on, but this could be like a super all-in game here where you get 3 hatcheries very quickly, And then after this spawning pool, you just go super into Zerglings and try to overwhelm your opponent. Okay, the gateway at the front. We're going to have to keep an eye on that Zergling count early on. Is this going to be that Zergling cheese that we've seen from Zerg players typically? Or is it going to be a 3-hatch Hydra build? I'm getting the feeling that this is not an economic build, despite the fact that we're seeing so many expansions. 15 drones overall, and of course we also need to start keeping a watch out for when this drone count is going to be cut, because it has not been cut and the spawning pool is going to finish up very shortly. If it was going to be quick to Zerglings, we would have stopped seeing drones being built from this hatchery, so the Zerglings would start popping out right away. But no, this is honestly, this is almost going into like the level of 6-hatch Hydra play. That's what it's more looking like. And this isn't like a standard 6-hatch Hydra play that we usually see from Zerg players, but it's definitely working towards that style and tech. And despite the fact that it could be 6-hatch Hydra, Lair is still very important because you want to get that Spire and those 2 Scourge out to scout your opponent and deal with the Corsair threat. Man, you know, Shuttle, really, he has 2 options. He can drop down a couple gateways and get super aggressive off of this, or he can continue what he's doing, probe hard, make sure he has a solid economy, try to get up to 41 probes is what I would say off these 2 bases, and then, you know, just work on harassment with his Corsairs. There's literally nothing else here. Literally nothing else. I mean, this is such a simple base layout from Protoss early on, yet it's defending against everything. We haven't seen anything more than the standard Zerg with 6 Zerglings that get built off the early portions of the game. And the fact that we're seeing, let's see here, we're not seeing a second gateway, which means that this is going to be that +1 Citadel of Adun speed zealot timing, where 8 to 10 zealots actually start to put out pressure once the upgrade does finish up. Where's that Citadel of Adun though? It hasn't been laid out. +1 air attack. And you know, +1 air can be nice, but I enjoy +1 air a little bit more when you see a second Stargate, because that second Stargate gets you to a critical number of Corsairs so much quicker. And remember, because this is going to be Army Light, there's not much to defend all of these Overlords, and I feel like double Stargate would really cut down on those Overlords and make it very difficult for a hero to play the long game. These Zerglings are getting all the data though, only seeing 3 Zealots, and if the assumption is correct, then there's not another gateway inside this base. I really don't know what Shuttle's doing. Sometimes he's a bit of an enigma in ZVP. Meanwhile, we can get a pretty steady idea that this is working towards that 6-hatch. So let's go ahead and count it out. The actual, and this confirms it even more, the evolution chamber can usually either get built at the front here to help wall off this area, or you build the Evo chamber at the 3rd base. But there's 1, 2, 3 hatcheries here, 4, 5, 6 hatcheries in total. And you will see just an overwhelming number of Hydralisks. And also, very important, so while you get range, so speed finishes first, range follows up second, your gas timing comes along with the range upgrade. So that's very important. You don't actually need a second gas for 6-hatch Hydra until this 6.5 minute mark is another way for you to look at it. 6.5 minutes. And this is actually, I am amazing with 6-hatch Hydra. This is my bread and butter build when I play ZVP. Even though I'm a Protoss player, this is literally the build that I go for in ZVP, because I love it so much. It's really good. So the Evo chamber isn't just there for decoration. You get +1 upgrade. Range is about to finish up, which allows you to get so much defense because you're going to have a lot of Hydralisks popping up at many locations. And so if you can sniff this out, the best option as a Protoss player to defend is actually High Templar. And so we're seeing the Protoss Templar Archives is finishing up right now, and he is going to go for Storm first. I am a little bit scared though, because Storm is coming so late. This timing hits at the 8.5 minute mark. And actually, Lurker Aspect is gonna be a nice little follow-up here too. J-Dog, I don't know if he actually ever tries to thrust out the Lurker Aspect right away afterward, but mostly it's just because he's mowing down his opponent at this point. I need to do some research into the Lurker Aspect follow-up so quickly here by Hero, because to me it feels like he's getting that upgrade a little fast. But this timing is gonna hit before Storm has allowed High Templar to gather enough energy and defend very well. You can see that there's 20 seconds remaining. I guess, 20 energy seconds remaining before the army can actually do much. Oh, a little bit of a cancel there. So the Zealots are going to come out here. They're going to come out with +1, which will help. But there's so many Hydralisks that are pushing up. 33 Hydralisks have already been created. And there's just a single Zergling over there, verifying that that's not a drone. I love this too. So behind this, the Overlord speed, which is going to be super helpful. Is he getting he's not going to get the lift upgrade. That would be quite odd. So this number is going to be he's going to be at 50 Hydralisks by the time he does do this engagement. I am behind on my timing. He's actually going to engage more to the 9.5 minute mark than the 8.5. I guess he's waiting for this Lurker Aspect upgrade to finish. He's allowed High Templar to get energy though, and Zealots to get speed. Now the problem here for Shuttle is that Shuttle, if he does try and fight this, while it does cause the Hydralisk to kind of cave in here to take over the natural base, he doesn't have a good plane for his Zealots to get surface area on the Hydralisk. They're going to funnel through the choke point, or Shuttle's just going to be forced to lose his Forge and Gateway before he can engage with any of his army, only relying on Storms. There's so much army here gathering up. 45 Hydralisks in total. Do we see any Lurkers coming out? Look at this. You can see that even drones, this drone count is actually pretty high. I have 46 drones. So these Lurkers are going to pave the way first to just slowly do this damage. And the Lurkers are a great start to this aggression, because they're going to force the Storms out, and the Storms are going to have to be really well spread. Shuttle's put himself into quite a predicament. So now he's up to 6 gateways, a 7th gateway coming up, and 7 gate is actually pretty common. That's a pretty key number here. And range on these Dragoons to deal with these Lurkers. But the Dragoons only can come out one at a time, so it's not very effective either. I think that Shuttle was hoping that while these Lurkers are focusing on the buildings on the front, that the range of these Dragoons will at least allow them to pick off the Lurkers. And that one actually took a decent amount of the health damage. So these High Templar though, like I said, every time a Storm is burnt, it weakens off this ability to defend. This is the most non-aggressive 6-hatch play that I've ever seen. And in fact, I'm going to write it off as 6-hatch aggression. And this is 6-hatch into expansion. That's the better way to talk about it. Because we can see that it's all about containing the Protoss player and then taking things into the later stages. Where is that Queen? So the Queen's Nest is now going to be on its way. And if Hive comes up before a 3rd base has been taken, then I fear that Shuttle will just die very, very easily. Hero knows exactly what to do. This is how he beat Bisu in several finals when they've played against each other. Is contain at the front, have a nice contained wall at the front, and then go in with Lurker drops. So these Lurker drops are going to be so key. We're looking at 46 probes at the start of these drops. Units are retreating, as you can see on the minimap. The Lurkers should drop out very shortly. So lots of probes are getting pulled. They're not going to be mining from this base. And Protoss is on 1 base. Protoss really is mining off, I guess, 1.5 bases right now, as these Lurkers just continue to cause a bit of chaos. Meanwhile, this allows Hero's army to get back into position outside of this front line. You see with the gateway gone, it's a little bit easier for units to move out, but still, there's this trouble. Units aren't going to move so smoothly. I wonder if this is going to be another drop play. There's been this cluster. It's like kind of drops are almost giving the same indicator on the minimap, the same way recalls do, where you just kind of see an odd group of units gathering in places around the map. If Shuttle wins this game, I will be awestruck. Hero has this game perfectly under control, or at least he did. But now this death ball pushing out, Shuttle, if he has good micro, he can completely mitigate everything. You can see +2 being done. He's not going with Corsairs anymore. Corsairs actually didn't do too much damage. I think the only one that was remaining has been killed off. And this map, La Mancha, actually gives Shuttle a pretty good position to guard from the left side. This is a huge engagement, and Hero doesn't have a lot of army here to deal with Shuttle. I think that Shuttle is going to lose, or Shuttle is going to cause Hero to lose quite a few units. Hero has to really start to think about pinching in on the Protoss, suffocating him as these units move out. But look at the spread of lurkers. As long as there's an observer at the front, and where are Scourge with these overlords? That's one thing that we're really missing too, are Scourge lords, because they do a great job of picking off observers and completely shutting down the Protoss player. Let's take a break because this has been long. Whew. All right. All right, casting for almost an hour now. I welcome all of you guys just coming in here. We're only on gate number 2, but we have quite an exhaustive cast to get through. The Storm tried to mow down all these Zerglings come across. This is why I do miss having a co-caster sometime. It really does help you out when you have these long-winded games. If anybody has a question about these games, please throw them out. I do implore you to throw down those questions. Let me check. Looks like everything is good and functional for the stream. We'll check to see if it's on the Team Liquid site, because I'm getting superstitions that my stream was removed from Team Liquid. In fact, I'm going to pause real quick. Hang on to this. Hang on to this. So this is a problem. My stream got removed from Team Liquid, and people literally don't know that this is going on right now, which is why we have not 40 viewers like I had expected. Usually we have 40 to 60 viewers watching these events. Oh, good God. All right. So that's fixed up. I need to pay attention to the viewer count a little bit more. I do appreciate those who do found me because you are subscribers and wait to see that my stream is actually online, so you guys are awesome. Okay, so look at this giant army that's coming from the south that's trying to engage in here. It's just Lings, and the Lings are coming in to pick off the High Templar. Great High Templar picking off units. Meanwhile, these units still have done nothing. Heroes had the map the entire game, and he has allowed a third base for Shuttle. Shuttle's got good economy now. He's his probe count, while it's still sitting at 44, his army count is still very, very high. 15 Dragoons, 2 Archons, 5 High Templar, and these storms are really starting to take a toll on Hero's army. Shuttle is doing a great job. He's busting out, and he's giving Protoss players so much hope in this PvZ. This is absolutely out of control that he's taken this high ground here, but the pincher does come. While he does take this position in the middle of the map, we know that the Hive Tech has finished up. Hive Tech has finished up. Defilers are going to come out very shortly. These Zealots actually escaped, trying to take an engagement at the front. You can see the Defilers now are in a pretty good spot for engaging too. But the Zealots are doing some real damage here. 14 of them still alive, and now +3. 22 attack every time they hit, and this melee damage is really, really strong. It takes a toll even on these 10 armor 8s. Alright, here we go. Oh, let's look at the top right. We can see that a couple hatcheries being laid down. Hero is in no struggle in terms of economy. His economy is still looking pretty good. He has a constant income, but he has an army that isn't gathered quite yet to take on the final units of 4 Shuttle. But Shuttle lost the most of everything. He only has seven gateways right now, and he's trying to get up to that 10 gateway count where he can re-macro very effectively against Zerg. You gotta get up to 10 at least, and the problem is that now that he's off 3 bases, he's not at another base where he can add more gateways, and it's not going to be very effective. And I wonder what the purpose of this Shuttle is going to be going for. If he's going to be doing drops, or if he's going to look to Reavers for having massive defense against Zerg players, against Zerg units. Hero losing a couple lurkers in the middle of the map, but still, he is unscathed when it comes to his economy. And look at this, he's rolling out 9 lurkers again, and as long as he spreads them out, he has every position on this map covered. And it's going to be about losing ground. Shuttle has to make sure he can push that ground away from Hero as best he can. I wonder if the armor upgrades are going to start kicking in too. A +1 armor is pretty quick, and you can see that's going to finish up. I mean, if you get to 3-3 Protoss, now you're going to be seeing some real trouble. And I'm honestly scared if Hero allows a Protoss to get to 3-3, because Shuttle, he should be able to take a 4th base once he does get +1, +3. And it's going to be about these plagues. That was a key plague. And I was talking about how effective plagues are against these Dragoons, as it takes them down to one health, and they only rely on shields at that point. Look at this army coming from the top. Again, we're seeing only 1-1. I'm surprised that +2 hasn't finished up for Zerg yet, despite the fact that there's been 2 Evo Chambers inside that main base for most of this game. We're nearly reaching that 20-minute mark. Look at the Darksworns coming in from that high ground. Again, there's a lot of action coming from this right side, but it looks like because of all these Dragoons still staying alive, a major lack of Zerglings, that Shuttle's been able to control the pace of this aggression once again. Do we see most of the lurkers? Most of the lurkers actually taking a lot of damage here. This one lurker does remain, but it's actually taken some hits too. There's no way for Protoss to engage over here. I'd like to see if Reavers has become an option, but we can see it's only about having this, let's do the quick math, 9 gateway count inside of this main base. Shuttle is still fighting an uphill battle. Remember, he's about to lose out on all his minerals at this natural base. So now he's going to be on a 1 base economy, but he's in late game stages of upgrades. We're fighting with 1-3. Let's look at these Evo Chambers. So 2-2 is about to finish. Okay, so now Zerg Army is going to kick in with the crackling upgrades here and +2. So it's 7 damage, which may look like nothing, but they hit so hard and fast. I mean, it's like 7 damage at 10 frames per second. It's like it's a massive amount of damage that comes out from those cracklings. And if they can land anything on these Dragoons, then this core army can die off pretty quickly. This is a huge risk because Shuttle's opening himself up for a major backstab. So if Hero decides that he doesn't want to defend this base right here, which actually is low on minerals, he can just counterattack. But of course, taking out this main army is really the most important thing for Hero, because Shuttle doesn't have the economy to rebuild this entire army. So this is going to be the haymaker. You can see the units coming up from the south also. The Zerglings not making it across, but they have distracted the Zealots over towards that bridge. Look how many storms are going off. Almost too many storms, but not effectively landing on any of the lurkers. The lurkers pinch all the units in towards this base, and now we're seeing that Zerglings are finally making it across. These Zealots are the last bastion of hope for Shuttle. He's managed to take out a hatchery, but how many other bases does Hero have, which is going to be the major problem. I'm expecting a GG as soon as the rest of these units do kill off this army. All right. Some silence. Oh my god. You know, it's just like you're toying with them. This is a cat. This is a cat playing with a lizard. My dog actually plays with lizards too. She'll grab them by the tail and yank them up into the air and catch them with her mouth and bringing them back down. This is some toying from the sick and disgusting race of a Zerg. Excuse of a race. And I know there's a little bit of fear from Hero. He doesn't want to engage quite yet. And look at this. The plague is wasted on this guy. And only 10 damage. Well, only 9 damage can come from the plague. But I guess because of the armor or something? No, plagues ignore armor. Why does the Archon not go down to 1 health? Someone please riddle me that question. I guess I've never thought about that. But that is something else, isn't it? Oh, another storm going down. I almost think that this is a bug replay with the fact that Hero hasn't won this game yet. If you guys watched this earlier, or if you're just coming in, Hero opened up with a perfect 6-hatch contained play, unharassed. And he did not win this game any earlier. And now we're seeing that +2 is about to finish. +2 is about to finish. We'll go check that forward in a second. Look at all these Archons rolling in here. And think about the massive damage they're doing. 39 and swipe damage. Hero, is he losing this game? Hero, no. Meanwhile, the Forge isn't coming up here. Hero might be losing this game. He did not manage this well at all. I can't believe this. I'm not going to process this. I'm going to say that Hero is still winning because there's not much left for Protoss. There's just that one lonely base, and Protoss is clearly OP if they can win this. Shuttle is just on. He is a monster. He's clearing out this base. There's 2 mining bases. If Hero loses this mining at the north, then he's going to have to tap out instead. What an about face. What a turnabout that we're seeing here. The Lings die right away. I mean, what the hell? 18 kill Archon? 18 kills? 16 kills? Wow. Wow, we are seeing over 60 kills between 4 Archons. Over 60! That is absurd. Meanwhile, look at all these sunken colonies starting to pop up to try and defend. The Sunkens, are they going to be there in time? The Zealots should be able to clear everything out very quickly. Yeah, this is it. This is it. These aren't going to finish up in time. Hero's Swan Song is coming very shortly. This is disgusting. I couldn't see a bigger throw in my life. Match-fixing flag. I'm throwing it. The match-fixing flag. I don't have a flag around me. I wish I did. That would be brilliant. I'm going to need one. Meanwhile, he's expanding over here. That expansion is going to die. He's losing everything. He has a little bit of economy to build some stuff. But this is just way too strong. Wow. So Protoss is going to be up 2-0 to start if Shuttle just closes this out without any mistakes. Why is there any... What? There is no reason... there's no reason that Hero should have lost this game. And now we're just learning as Protoss that all you need to do is just sit on your 2 bases and get a High Templar and just crouch. Crouch there for a real long time. And if Zerg doesn't attack you, just keep crouching and gain a ton of units. And then just slowly work your way out to this space, get a third, and GG. Your opponent can't win. Too strong. I just don't get it. So this hatchery is coming up. These sunken colonies actually were avoided over here. I'm surprised that there wasn't a hatchery built. This Nexus is coming up at this location down at the 6 o'clock, which will be nice because Shuttle is actually only going to need this 6 o'clock base. This is the only base that he is going to need if he wants to close out this game. These Zerglings, they can close off these, they can kill off these bases that are being built right now very, very quickly if they're not dealt with effectively. But these Zealots guarding the bridge are going to prevent any Zergling from getting in there at all. So here comes the final attack. Hero's going to lose everything inside of his natural base. Once these forces go down, the main base will have easy access, and there's no Sim City here blocking it in. It's actually a wide ramp, so it's even easy for the Dragoons to get up this ramp. These Overlords running away. Like scared little wimps they are. Overlords have never been brave in their life. This is a ton of lurkers getting stormed. Where's the Observer, guys? Where's the Observer? The storms are just outrageous. All of the lurkers that Hero tried to roll out with, and now the Observer is here. There's no Scourge to Observer pick. We haven't seen any Observer picking. Honestly, have we even seen Scourge in this game? No, we haven't. And this is going to be the end result. Please be the end. Wow, why are we at 25 minutes? I'm ready for game number 2. GG!